We have the articles that are in the publication. It's part of your PDF as I showed you here. You'll be able to open your PDF and then the Google Slides. Those are both for you. What you are doing on this assignment is you are going to be choosing a topic, an article, or maybe two. It depends on the slide, and you'll understand once I go into it. You have one slide that you need to complete, and it'll be 40 points. You have two multiple choice questions and two true or false questions. Make sure you're including the answer when you are writing these questions, and make them believable when it comes to the multiple choice questions, okay? And then on the true and false, you can also just add the true or the false at the end of what you are stating. You do have an opportunity for extra credit on this one. You're able to complete 2 additional slides, which will give you 80 additional points of extra credit. So keep that in mind when you are completing this. As I mentioned, a lot of the topics are applicable real life pieces that you may be hearing about and experiencing. And some of you may already have some of these because you might be working, you might be driving. So some of these will actually maybe be already applicable to you. I did want to point out to you all the way at the end who the publication is put out by. It's put out by California Bar Foundation, and their whole idea behind this was to read this guide and for you to be able to have a helpful resource to better understand perhaps any laws or guidance that you need after you're 18. And this is what the guide looks, or what the publication looks like. I'm going to go small on it. I'm not expecting you to be able to read it though at this size. So this is When You Turn 18, a survival guide for teenagers. And then we'll go through the pages and I'll show you what it looks like on the PowerPoint in order for you to better understand how it's working here on selecting the articles. So here at the top is a introduction here. I'm just going to read it. Congratulations, at age 18, you've reached an important milestone. Now, you are an adult now, and in the eyes of the law, you can rent your own apartment, take charge of your finances, and even buy a car on your own, all without a parent's consent or assistance. You can now enter into legal contracts and vote in elections. In short, you now have the right to make many important decisions about where you live, what you do, and how you shape your future. But there's always that but. Adulthood also brings new responsibilities and consequences. Your parents no longer have to support you. You can now be sued personally. You are responsible for paying your own income taxes. You must register for the military if you are a young man. And if you commit a crime, you will not have the protection of a juvenile court and laws. You could wind up in jail for something that you, at a younger age, might have resulted in no more than a stern lecture and a ride home in a police car. This guide touches on some of the laws that may apply to you at this turning point. Keep in mind that laws are constantly subject to change. If you have legal problems, you may want to consult an attorney. So that is the portion that they are referring to. When you open up the PowerPoint, you will see some of the similar information with the title and also the directions over here for you to look at. I'm going to make it a little bigger. So you're going to see the 40 points for one slide, 2 multiple choice questions, and 2 true or false. Make sure you're including that answer. You'll notice here at the top of the title, it says and there's 2 titles. When you go to the page here, page 1, you'll see the reaching the majority the age of majority, and this is basically what happens when you turn 18. That's what they call it, reaching the age of majority. And then you'll notice, though, the other one says having fun, and it's on page 4. So you'll notice that the reaching age of majority is not very long, and then go to the other one, having fun segment here is not very long either. Just a little bit more right there. It has the clip art, making it a little shorter, but you have those two in order to answer this one. The one thing I do want to mention that on this slide, you will notice it says multiple choice 1, multiple choice 2. The 2 are under the title. That doesn't mean you have to do one multiple choice for that article and one multiple choice for that one. If you wanted to, you could do the first article, reaching the age of majority, multiple choice on each of those. And then for the having fun portion, you can do 2 true or false. But the whole idea is for you to do 2 and 2 for the articles that are listed. Mainly on this one, I wanted you to see the fact that they're on 2 separate pages, the 2 different titles. This one is an everyday kind of piece for you, and that's getting around, and that's on page 2 and 3. And the getting around part talks about a vehicle, driver's license, it talks about insurance, it talks about what could happen if I drive after drinking a beer or 2. Do bicycle riders have to follow the same traffic laws as motorists? So you'll see here that this one does refer to this one. Now, the interesting one on 2 is it goes to the bottom and then it goes back to the top. When you're looking at an article, make sure that you're finishing up and see if it continues on the top. This one's talking about car insurance, about the requirements for that aspect. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Laws that young drivers should know. That one's on page 3. I'm not going to click back and forth on each of these, but like for instance, this one is reckless driving, road rage, blaring music and loud horns, obscuring your license plate. That one is a longer one, so all you need to do is go through that one, read that one, and then complete the 2 multiple choice and the true or false. Again, you're going to have tomorrow and the next day to complete this. Moving out. Now, this one is something that you probably wouldn't even have thought of, the moving out piece. Some of the aspects in the article, so I'm going to go switch over to this one. Are all rental agreements alike? Be careful what you're signing. If you're ever signing something that has like a blank spot for somebody to be able to write something in a period, you want to go back and mark that. And because you're putting your signature on that and you're saying that you're going to abide by that agreement, you want to make sure you know what you're signing. And talks here about the advantages of putting it in writing. With a lease that's in writing or a rental agreement that's in writing, you have a better idea of your rental rights and obligations. So then you're not trying to remember what something was said. That's never a good piece. Talks about security deposits. This one's an interesting one. Can my landlord enter my apartment without asking me? Now, say you live on the bottom floor and there's a huge leak going on in the tub in the top, and something, we're talking about maybe an emergency situation. So there are some very interesting real life kind of questions. Like here, if I sign a lease with 3 friends and they move out, do I have to pay the full rent? Okay, so that's also something to consider. And then this one goes up to the top. Something like, what if you break a lease? Can you be sued because you've broken the contract? Those sorts of pieces. Alcohol and drugs on page 4 and 5. So it starts way at the bottom of page 4 and then it goes to page 5, and it just talks about the different things such as, can I get in trouble for using someone else's driver's license or altering my own to make it appear as though I'm 21? I think you could probably answer that one, but it gives you actually some codes and things like that on there. Another one that's on here is If I call 911 because one of my friends needs medical help after a night of drinking alcohol, could I be arrested for underage drinking? So under circumstances, you could not be prosecuted for buying, possessing, or consuming alcohol, even if you are an underage drinker. You must, however, there's a little bit more to that, so you'll have to figure out, what does that mean for you? Alcohol and the law. So this one, these two here, we go to this one. So this one is alcohol and the law. It's right here, smack in the middle of the page. It's a narrow reading, and that's on page 5. And then this next one goes to page 8, and it's also one of the bubbles on the side there. And this one is about date rape drugs. How can I protect myself from being a victim? So that's another aspect is those bubbles on there. So follow the titles, and the title and the pages will definitely help you out. And especially if it's showing you 6 or 7, then that allows you to follow it to see if you maybe missed something. And page 6, money matters. Who can make a contract? What happens if you break a contract? What should you ask before opening a bank account? What happens if I spend more money than I have in my bank account? That's not a very good practice. What is a credit report? What if I lose a credit card? These are all questions that are answered in here. What is collateral? So that's a term that's used with contracts. Working and taxes. So what does it mean to have a job? Can the employer deduct anything from your paycheck? What if you experience discrimination in the workplace? There are laws that have to be adhered to. California Department of Fair Employment would help with discrimination piece. Are you guaranteed that if you do your best job that you keep your job? Not necessarily. They don't have to give you a reason, but there are other reasons that they can't use to fire you. That would be a violation of the law. So there are certain laws that protect you as an employee. Sex and the law. What is sexual assault? What could happen if I'm charged with statutory rape? Doing your part and jury duty. So this part doing your part is about voting and jury duty. Both of these topics are covered on the same page, and you'll see the green word on. Let me just share that with you. So you'll see the green word on both of these here. So definitely a lot of choices. Military service, smoking, and the law. That would mean you need to do both of those. I have both of the page numbers listed. Marriage and partnerships. There's about prenuptials. There's about what's community property. Different types of laws with the marriage and partnership. Crimes and consequences. What is a crime? Are there different levels of crime? What happens if I'm arrested? Can police ever search me, my home, or my car without a warrant? And the answer is yes, and you'll have to read why sometimes they can. Dealing with domestic violence, gang violence, and the law. Those are two shorter ones, so that's why they're put together on the one slide. Once we get to these other ones down here on the higher page numbers, they start talking about private and public social network sites. What are some concerns or things that you have to be aware of with that? computer identity theft, cell phones and the internet, 10 tips for identity theft prevention. Those are pretty useful about protecting your social security number, the phishing, don't take the bait. People pose as governmental agencies. Consumer protection, so if you buy something, those are always things that you kind of don't think about. Even like a vehicle, they have limit laws in California for vehicles. Gift cards and certificates. And then the last one there is finding legal help. The legal help one, people have a tendency to throw around the saying like, oh, just sue them. Oh, you can sue them. There's a cost. And the other thing that you have to realize that if you are suing somebody else and you lose, a lot of times there's going to be a money amount that you have to do. So you have to pay your attorney their legal fees. And in a lot of cases, you also have to pay the legal fees of the other side if you're bringing the suit against them. So the legal system and that piece of attorneys, you definitely need to have the information on that. So all you need to do is go choose what you want to learn about and read that portion. Okay.